Welcome to the Step Up Podcast. Insights from experts to step up your business, your life, and your wealth. Step Up is provided by Agency Bloom, today's #1 superhero for wholesale services to digital agencies. Get ready to propel your business from ordinary to extraordinary. Here's your host, Matt Coffey.
All right, 2015, we are talking today about the SEO focus factors, something that we want to think about as we look at what's making a difference in the algorithm. We want to go through the top 10. We're going to talk about the seven top things that are affecting ranking, and then we're going to look at the additional 3 things that affect the negative aspects of ranking. So we really want to concentrate on the top 10 things for 2015 for you to look at in trying to rank websites and in aggregate trying to help business grow traffic, therefore grow phone calls, and therefore grow leads. So looking at Google's algorithms that have really made an impact in the last, well, we can tell from the last go-round of their changing of their algorithmic structure. You look at really the on-page effect now as one of the factors. So we look at click-through rates. So when someone gets to the site, are they clicking through to the next section? Are they getting the information they need? This is all based on what we consider usage metrics. This could be bounce rate. This could be bounce rate per page. This could be the keyword that you're found for in a search result and how well you follow that through once you get to the site. So all of these usage-based metrics are things that are going to really count in 2015 to make a difference in whether a site gets moved up the ladder in where they're ranked as opposed to the competition. Okay, number 2. Now Hummingbird is the new sort of, let's call it, bird of choice within Google that really has an impact on the search results. We noticed it in the summer when it was released and then really kind of rolled out over time, and now we can really see the effects. And that does relate to this usage-based metrics, although that's very site-focused. What we really want to know now from Hummingbird is what is the main purpose of Hummingbird. And it's really to take semantical approaches of keywords and try and put basically a cloud around that keyword to understand the semantical approach, how Google would actually find your site or a site based on the semantical approach. And that really talking about the mobile site, the mobile websites, the mobile correspondence, especially when you're talking Siri and some of these other voice-activated prompts. We're seeing these approaches become very much part of how Google decides whether to put a site up or down. Now, there's been a lot of articulation around mobile websites and how important they are, but that also relates to Hummingbird and how well that a site gets found once you have a semantical approach. And we're talking about how you would physically ask a question into Siri as a way to look at semantics. So, how close is the nearest plumber? Where can I find a plumber in New Jersey? All of these terms now are part of the search engine's new, let's just say, entity, as opposed to looking at the HTML markup. They're looking at the entity itself, the entity of the domain, and how it relates to the infrastructure of the ecosystem of how Google places things within a search results. So that takes us to number 3. Now, building bigger sites is going to be something that's going to be very important for a lot of people this year in 2015 to capture all those different types of search queries, search terms, semantical approach terms that we need to now think about when we build out a site. So it's not just trying to have one topic and then cover it. It's going to have multiple shades of that topic, like 1,000 shades of gray, where you have different versions of the topic based off of these semantical queries. So all of these bigger sites are going to start to develop to encompass this Hummingbird algorithm. Now, as we move into the sort of theory around that, is that what we're looking at is also the third-party verification of sites. So if we think of sites as not necessarily domains with HTML, we think of them as entities within the search engine. They're going to be data points pushing towards these sites, verified authority sites that are going to be important to help Google's algorithm set cadence with the data points. So to have the schema markups of these sites be important just as much as the schema markups are within the inside of a domain is going to be critical, because we're going to tie together the data points the standardization of name, address, phone number, keywords, all of that pointing to the site gives Google a much better trust factor and then puts things up a touch, especially in the local listings and local map listings. These are going to be absolutely critical as we move forward in 2015. Number 5, social shares. Can't say more about this as the new kind of link process. So if you have a page and you have links on the page that go out to these social environments, Facebook, Pinterest, LinkedIn, Twitter, whatever the social shares could be, are extremely important because it's showing social proof to Google that the site has relevance and it has importance to the end user. So as we see those shares happen, if those shares are being provided by higher authority profiles, well, then that gives more relevance to the fact that that's an expert page giving expert information, and that's what Google wants to see. They want to give back the best search results, and so this social sharing is an important part of how the algorithm is going to determine whether or not to rank pages within the website, even the front page, but mostly this is going to be about the content that's being delivered throughout the site. Now, I can't stop without talking about links. So we know links are still part of the algorithm. There's no question that backlinking to a website still is probably going to be the most important thing for the next, let's just say, iteration of Google's algorithmic changes. Now we know as things do precipitate through 2015, we'll probably see some updates because Google's got some new things going on in the back end of the way that they do their search strategy. But the reality is high quality links from branded sites, from things that are very, very high-end topical sites that have a lot of authority will always win because it shows direct correlation in a mathematical way about how important the site is. All of those other links, the small little nothing links, are just 0.001%. So really what you want to do is find really high sites, really high quality topical sites that are important, that go back to your site. So that's the link piece, but there's a secondary link piece. Really the number one thing, if I was to say to do if you're trying to rank a site, is you need to find those high quality sites that have topical importance back to the domain. That will be the number one thing that will give the strength behind domain to give it relevance within its ecosystem of wherever it fits. If you're a plumber, you should be tied together with making sure that you've created relationships with other sites that have absolute authority and give you topical relevance to the topic on your site. Those are the most important links. That's the number one thing I would suggest going forward for right now in 2015. If you can get that into your head, along with the other things, they're all sort of important in their own way, but that one to me I see as the number one thing that makes the biggest difference and moves the biggest pile of rocks for a search engine result. Now let's talk about the last three, which in order of importance for demoting or being careful about running with a site. Panda today is the biggest problem. I'd say 90% of the issues that we find are Panda related. Panda is the quality, the usage, the content. We really see these dips because of quality issues in sites because they're being found. Panda runs monthly. We don't know when it runs, but we can see algorithms go straight, then come down, then go like that. We know it's running. We know when we actually can tell the dates it runs because we can see it across all of the different data spectrums that we have within the SEO tools we use, that there are algorithms running even a couple times a month, and you can see exactly what's going on. They're deciding whether or not to demote a site based on the content and the user metrics. And they're really seeing this as a part of the whole scheme of how the search engines are going to now correlate the business of people and the algorithm. So they're really going to be leaning into the people side of this business. Okay, number 9, or the second demoter, is over-optimization of keyword text in the backlinking. Almost all the time, if we see a site that's not ranking very well or has had problems, we look at the back end of a site and we can typically say within 30 seconds, it's got over-optimized backlink text, it's gotten flagged, as a site that's not being trusted because someone has stuffed anchor text into the back end of a site, meaning they put lots of links with the same anchor text to Plummer, New Jersey, Plummer, New Jersey, Plummer, New Jersey, all across the internet. It's very, very easy. There are just tons and tons of people who have done this in the past, and it's all coming to root. And these sites are getting less and less available to rank because we've got to go in back end and fix this mess that's in the back end before we can start on the front end, because there's such a challenge with this over-optimization these days that you have to really look at the back end of your site to make sure that you've got a site that doesn't have this issue. Now, okay, so let's get to number 10, and would be the third of the demotional things that you have to be concerned about in the ranking factors, is really to look at this, what I would consider the spam algorithm or the payday loan algorithm. There is another penalty, it's not been named yet, but it covers a lot of industries. It covers a lot of the industries that have used link and link-based strategies into their portfolio over the years. It would include limousine services, chiropractors, pest control. It goes on and on and on. So a lot of the major industries that have typically been involved in buying links are now being manually audited by 10,000 plus people in India to try and find if there are specific penalties that are associated with a manual review of a site to see if it's trusted or not. Now, we don't know exactly how it works, but there are some levels of demotion within the structure of this type of penalty that relates to these terms. Now, this mystery, more manual strategy is the one I think we have to look out in 2015, where if it encompasses more and more different types of industries, and there is more and more manual intervention, which is a very big concern because that's really interpretive, it's not algorithmic. And I think that's something that we have to look at in 2015 as a big challenge, because that is something that Google is going to continue to go after as they try and clean and weed out the links. They've already got people putting in all of these forms to say, hey, these are bad links, these are bad links, and it has collateral damages across all sorts of different websites. But those manual teams and also the algorithm that trips over that to give it to a manual team is another thing to think about in 2015. So what does this all mean for you? So these are two very important points if you've watched this entire video to think about. One, you should have your plan B ready to go. That means you should have another domain that you want to use as a, let's just say, sub-brand in case your domain itself gets slammed. Now, we don't know whether or not anyone's domain will get slammed in particular by just looking at it and cursor. It's up to Google to make that decision. But a lot of people who have been since 2006, 2007 have used SEO companies. There's so much junk compiled in the back end of these websites. It's just like one heart attack away from just being croaked. So we see this happen from time to time when someone will come into our shop and say, hey, this domain is just not ranking for anything. What's the problem? We're like, well, you got to start over. It's just not worth it because the domain has got so many penalties and flags and so forth. So get another domain. If you've had any of these situations where you think you might have had SEO in the back, 2007, 2008, 2009, wherever, where it might have been somewhat speculative on how it was set up. That is a big, big thing to think about for 2015. Number two, think about your strategy to move forward on the content side. We know that Panda is going to have a big effect if you don't have good content. We know that Hummingbird is another thing which is involved, another algorithm that's involved in looking at the entity strategy. So we really want to think about what is the content strategy mapping forward. And that's always been around, but this year, more than anything else, you really have to think about quality and not just pushing out content, because there's going to be people looking at this site, determining whether or not Google, through Chrome and through Chrome extensions and through Webmaster Tools and Analytics, Google is going to be looking at the human approach of algorithmic challenges this year. All right, so that is it for the 2015 factors for ranking. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you in the next episode.
Thanks so much for listening to today's episode of the Step Up Podcast with your host, Matt Coffey. We'll see you next time.